Okay, hi folks. Welcome. This is attempt number 3 to make a video outdoors as an introduction to the channel I've just created called Keys to the Kingdom. Most of video 1 was pretty good. See, I've done it again. It really bugs me when I don't pronounce words correctly. So number 2 video, I said little instead of little, and I just thought I can't publish that. I do want my videos to be raw and real, and not polished or too professional. I do want them to be real. But I do have certain standards. For instance, trying not to use slang, although it's very common and prevalent these days, using slang and shortening words, and that's fine in, general conversation. But I'd like to be a bit more vigilant in the way I pronounce words for videos. Yeah, so number 1 video was great. Apart from there was a couple of things wrong with it, and I was walking along as well. And the camera was bouncing all over the place. Yeah, so it wasn't great. I don't want to appear on camera straight away. I'm just building up my confidence to do that. And the sun is really strong in my face, so there's no way I'm going to appear on camera. But anyway, I want to make these videos to record my inner spiritual journey and my journey with life and the transformation that I'm undergoing. And I want to explore that and record that, and hopefully get round to interviewing other people with testimonials about coming to Christ and their experiences. So that's the aim of these videos. So yes, I would like to get round to interviewing people, but I've got a lot going on in my life at the moment. So this, unfortunately, isn't my focus. The videos aren't my focus, but hopefully they will be more in focus later on. I felt really compelled to call it Keys to the Kingdom, and I did look up on YouTube. There are a few more channels with that title, but they seem to be slightly different. Like they may have extra words or slightly different wording. So I felt okay. I hope it's okay that I've chosen this title for my channel. And I thought the keys represented clues. Keys are like clues to inner knowledge and experience, to spiritual knowledge of the kingdom of God or heaven. Basically that higher spiritual state that can be attained, but it takes a lot of discipline and dedication and focus. So I'm just embarking on that path of more focus and more discipline. I'm sorry about the camera. My phone keeps wavering. It's a little bit windy today. It's quite hard to keep the camera still. I think I'm going to have to invest in a tripod actually if I want to make more videos outside. I think that is the answer, really. To have a tripod on not too windy days. But today is the autumn equinox, where day and night are equal. And we are going into the autumn now, and these last few weeks of September, it's now the 22nd of September 2025. These last few weeks have seen a real change in the weather after a very, very hot, unusually hot summer for the UK. These last few weeks have been quite chilly and very rainy. Today is an exception. It is the most glorious day. I'll just give you a look at the sky. Just absolutely beautiful blue sky with little fluffy, little fluffy clouds. And there on the horizon is Glastonbury Tor, which I'm attempting to keep the camera still, but it's quite difficult. Yeah, and I just really feel the need to kind of come out of my shell with my spirituality. And I've only told very few people about what's going on for me, because I'm just in the throes of change at the moment, and it is a bit confusing. But I am literally being drawn to the more mystical side of Christianity. I read a book about Jesus and the Essenes last year, and I recognised the signature. I recognised that Christic signature, and it felt so familiar to me. And I felt I want more of that. So I started watching YouTube videos on various, dragonfly just threw right in my face, on Christianity, and the testimonials are just mind blowing. You know, people having, quite frankly, awful lives, and they've been called or had an experience with Christ, and their lives have transformed, not necessarily overnight. Sometimes, you know, it can be a process, but it's undeniable. The living Christ is undeniable. To me, Christianity represented a beautiful but dead church, with the older generation and sort of dusty old hymns and everything being very dour, and that just didn't really float my boat. And so I got into all sorts of spiritual paths during my lifetime, which I'll probably elaborate on at a later date. But this is just a short introductory video, and that sun is so hot, I can tell you, I'm beginning to feel quite uncomfortable in its presence. Yeah, but the last thing I got into, no, not the last thing, sorry. One of the spiritual paths I got interested in my 20s was shamanism. And I drifted away from it. Then I drifted back about 10 years ago and started doing shamanic journey circles in Glastonbury. And then a couple of years ago, I did a shamanic practitioner's course. I thought this was it. I thought this is my path. I thought, I'm going to set myself up as a practitioner. I'm going to help people. And I did seem to have quite a gift for just knowing things about people and seeing what was under the surface. And yeah, I did seem to have a bit of a gift for seeing, shall we say. But when it came to it, I just could not bring myself to start that journey circle I did have a couple of clients, literally a couple of clients, but the motivation just wasn't there. It was like a big build up. Yeah, I'm going to do this. I'm going to be a shamanic practitioner. I'm going to da 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 da. Like, really convinced that this was it. And then it was a bit like a damp squib. It sort of, I literally didn't have the whatever it took to do it. And if I'm honest with myself, I wasn't brought up in a tribal situation. I wasn't brought up as a shaman. I wasn't chosen as a shaman. Okay, I may have some qualities of being able to have insights into people and into the spirit world, yes, but that doesn't make me a shaman. And I think it's about looking at myself in the mirror and admitting that. And it's not easy when you've been into really into a spiritual path for so many years and you really identify with that spiritual path. It's not easy just to drop it all. Plus, I have a lovely shamanic community, mainly of women, like 99% women, who are very down to earth, loving, lovely women. And it's very hard just to ditch it all and go, oh, well, I'm into this other thing now. So I'm in the process of assessing where I am with that. And at the same time, I'm being swept up into this totally new thing, the spiritual path, which is what I like to refer as mystical Christianity. My grandfather, who was a Methodist, gave me a Bible when I was 11 years old. I've never read that Bible up until now. And I'm 58 now. So I've never actually picked up that Bible and read it until this year of 2025. The last time I actually read a Bible was when I was doing O-levels, and I did what was then called Divinity, which was basically studying the life of Jesus and the New Testament. And I loved those stories. I loved those Jesus stories. But after that, after 16, when I started doing my A-levels, I left it all behind. And that's why when I started getting interested in the occult, etc., and various spiritual paths. I don't want to go on that journey today, but from the testimonials that I've heard from people, that is a very common thing. You know, they might have been brought up a Christian, or they might have been a little bit into Christianity as a child or a teenager, and then gone, oh, I've had enough of that, I'm going to explore this now. Very common, very common. So yes, anyway, this year, I couldn't tell you what month it was, I started reading the Bible that my grandfather had given to me, the New English version, and started with Matthew. Now I've finished Matthew, Mark, Luke and John, and I have to say John is my very favourite. And I'm on the Acts now, the Acts of the Apostles. I'm reading that. But I noticed in the New English Bible that the Lord's Prayer is very different to what I was brought up with. And then I realised that that's because I was brought up with the King James version of the Lord's Prayer. And I realised I love that old language. That's much more powerful, I find. So I bought myself a Bible, a King James study Bible a few months ago, and I'm reading Genesis. So in the day, not every day, but when I've got time, I read. I've started reading the Old Testament, sorry, and then at night before I go to sleep, I read a little bit of the New Testament. And the Bible is alive. It's incredible. And a lady I met, I told a lady I met the other day, a Christian lady, and she said that's because you're experiencing the Holy Spirit in the Bible. It's like coming alive. It's just incredible. And I feel so held at the moment, so held. Even though my circumstances are challenging in life at the moment, despite that, I'm really beginning to put my trust in God, and I'm feeling very held, which is so wonderful and very loved as well. In case you're wondering why my voice sounds a bit sleepy, it's because of this amazing the sun is hot, despite it being towards the end of September, despite the seasons changing. It's giving us its last glorious blast of heat. But one thing I don't want to let go of in my escapades with shamanism and paganism, amongst other things, is my reverence for the earth. And I think for me, that's what Christianity is missing. And it did, the church literally took over from paganism and took over all the pagan festivals and, cut people off from the land. And I think that was partly tied in with industrialization, etc. So I don't want to lose sight of the land and the changing of the seasons. So I think it's very important to be in touch with nature, not to worship it, but just to revere it and be in touch with it. Nature is, after all, God's creation. And in the beginning on earth was Eden, an earthly paradise. And we can still get glimpses of an earthly paradise today, even though man's mark is all over the land. Chopping down trees, fertilizing the fields, building, man's mark is everywhere. But despite that, nature still does its thing and shows its individuality and is still resplendent and magnificent despite man's attempt to control it. So, on that note, I think I'm going to end this video. I do apologise about the camera wobble. It's very hard to hold a phone perfectly still. And I think I did try putting it on a selfie stick, but that was really heavy, so it didn't really work. So yes, I think I need to invest in a little tripod. I think that's the next thing to invest in, because I love making videos outside in nature. It's so relaxing, it's so inspiring, and I feel like I'm beginning to sound like David Attenborough now, so I'll stop right here. But yeah, I hope I get the courage to post this. Yeah, I really do. I can see a man walking not towards me but up over the hill, so I'm definitely going to stop now. It's great to think that some people may watch this just because it's nice to share thoughts with people. So on that note, that is Glastonbury Tour, in case I haven't mentioned it, on the horizon there. On that note, on this beautiful, magnificent autumn equinox day from Avalon. I'm going to end it here. May peace be with you. So much love. God bless.